Well, welcome everyone. I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me for this 45 minutes to an hour presenting on the power of your plate and how plant-based foods can improve your health. My name is Susannah Dickman. I just want to give a disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a dietitian. I actually have my master's degree in early childhood education. So that was my first passion, from teaching young children all the way through high school and then teaching at the college level. And I still do that part-time, but I'm kind of transitioning. I'm at the point in my life where I want to do more things that are not as stressful. And before I get started and talk a little bit about me and what we're going to do for this time, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat where you're from and maybe why you saw this presentation and wanted to sign up for it. While you're doing that, I just want to thank Alternative Balance because this is such a great opportunity for me and for you. And I know I've participated in a lot of the webinars like this. And I just think I love the services you guys provide. And I also love the opportunities for learning. I've learned so much from each of the presenters. And it's just, I really feel like it's a community that you guys are building. And it's so refreshing because typically businesses, aren't like that. So I just wanted to say thank you to Alternative Balance. And I'm just really excited to be able to do this. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to open my chat. And we've got Ellen from Central New Hampshire. Okay. Thanks, Ellen. It's nice to have you here. So let me go ahead and get started. And this is very informal. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Michelle's going to help me keep an eye on them, but I've got it there at the bottom of the screen. So let me begin by, again, telling a little bit about myself. I became plant-based 12 years, almost 13 years ago. And the reason that I did that, my husband and I said, no, we're going to all do this. We were getting older and we watched our parents struggle with different health ailments, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol. And we also have raised 3 sons, and two of our sons have developmental disabilities. And so as adults, they live with us now. And we just started, I was always interested in healthy eating. We just started talking about, are we really eating what we need to be eating? Are we really eating healthy? And I just began researching. I'm sure like you guys, you're one of those people who you see a story on the news and you're like, I want to find out more about that. And what I decided for me was that we definitely needed to eat more fruit and vegetables and beans and whole grains because there was a little too much fast food going on and all those kind of things. So I kind of went cold turkey. My husband didn't. And our sons, once my husband came on board, we were the main cooks in the house. So our sons just naturally fell into it. And they do, when we're out to eat, they order whatever they want, but at home we cook primarily plant-based. And this workshop isn't about saying you have to go plant-based. It's a way of maybe having you think about the food on your plate and being a more mindful eater. You always heard in health class that, oh my gosh, you should be eating 5 servings of fruit a day, right? So it's taking stock and saying, am I eating those fruits, 5 servings a day? am I eating any vegetables? I have workshops where I ask people, how many fruit and vegetables have you eaten today? And it's that old, does French fries count, or does tomato ketchup count? So it's just about being more mindful and picking out healthy foods. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, I have to go plant-based. No, you know, everybody has their own journey. It's just, again, eating, trying to incorporate more healthy food in your diet. So in 2014, I became a Food for Life instructor, and Food for Life is a program by the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. It's out of Washington, D.C. And Dr. Neil Barnard, you may have heard of him, or he's had some PBS specials. He, in medical school, realized that doctors really weren't trained on nutrition. And he began the Physicians Committee to bring about that awareness. And then trains, I went to DC for a week and became a certified Food for Life instructor. And I am able to present that program. I also, you know, in my community, now that once COVID hit, I do online classes. I also will meet, you know, present at groups, the Rotary Club, other groups, church groups who just want to, you know, taste a great recipe and learn how the food they eat can impact their health. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, whoops, let me go ahead and get there. Okay, so this research, and I have the source there, this research, it's just a few things I want to share with you that I think is just amazing to me. This research is by Dr. Michael Greger, who is a plant-based doctor, and he has a website called nutritionfacts.org. I would recommend you looking him up. What Dr. Greger does is he goes through all the medical research. You know how when you watch the news, they give you a little blurb of medical research and you're like, oh, wow. But he goes into detail, and then he makes videos that show and explain what is going on and what they mean in terms like those of us like myself who aren't a medical doctor can understand. And these studies that he pinpointed just to me make me really think and go, wow. The first one says that based on a study of more than 400,000 people, just replacing 3% of those calories of animal protein with the plant protein were associated with a 10% risk in overall mortality. So 10%, that's pretty good. Just 3%. So one day instead of chicken, maybe you'll have lentils or beans or quinoa. Then they found that swapping just 3% of egg whites for plant protein had a 20% reduction in overall mortality. So, you know, they're saying egg whites are even worse than red meat. That's something that we don't hear a lot about. And people say, again, they say to me, well, don't you miss that? And don't you miss this? And it's like, well, no, not really, because your taste buds change. You crave other foods. But, you know, it's not like I can't eat something. I could eat a hamburger anytime I want. I don't have to, you know, it's not like I can't eat something. I choose to eat something. And the thing about it is, and this is what this little quote, it's not just about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years. Okay, even though, and I'm in my 60s, I hate to admit that sometimes, but I'm older. I didn't want to age and feel not good. I didn't want to age and have high blood pressure like my mom had, or pre-diabetes, or, you know, and again, there are no guarantees, but right now, I feel good. I started running 4 years ago, which is something I never thought I'd do. And you know, my husband and I have participated in a couple of half marathons, but done two, don't want to do that again. But we just have energy that we didn't think we have. And okay, so do you eat egg yolks? Nope, I do not eat any animal products. So no meat, dairy, anything that came from an animal. But again, that's what I choose, you know, that's what I choose to do. So this research really, I think, opened my eyes to the benefits of even doing a meatless Monday kind of thing. You know, just replacing one day's meal with quinoa or beans or lentils. Okay, so I'm going to go through each of the parts of my power plate. You can see it here and you can see my poster there. And we're going to talk about some of the health benefits of those. And then, as Michelle mentioned, I'm going to make this delicious chickpea quinoa salad with a great dressing that you can use for not only this salad, but for other salads. So the first one we're going to pick is fruit. This is my favorite time of the year for fruit because we have an abundance of fruit. Lately, it's been quinoa and pears that I've been loving, and of course, watermelon. But fruit, we know the different colors are filled with antioxidants, lycopene in red fruits and vegetables, cuts cancer risk. Fruits also contain anthocyanins, and what we know about anthocyanins is they destroy free radicals. You guys have heard talk about free radicals. You know, we get free radicals in our bodies from the food we eat, from the environment that we live in, from the air. And if the more fruit and vegetables we eat, it kind of, you know, it's like they're boxing gloves, and they bam, 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 those free radicals out of our body. And this one, especially for my husband and I, who were aging, we learned that eating just a cup of blueberries significantly improves your cognitive function within 1 hour. Okay, so blueberries on my oatmeal for breakfast. Blueberries are so great. I love them fresh or frozen. You know, we know buying frozen fruit and vegetables sometimes can even be a little bit more healthy because of they're flash frozen. So choose blueberries to give your brain a boost. Fruits are also good sources of vitamin A, E, and C. They are low in calories, low fat, and there's no cholesterol. They're high in fiber and potassium, and we're going to talk about the importance of fiber. And women, there's all women here today. Women need about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of fruit a day. Okay, so think about that today. Have you had any fruit for breakfast? Some of you have eaten lunch already. Men should have 2 to 2.5 cups a day. Okay, and it doesn't take, you know, we think about watermelon. A cup of watermelon is nothing. An apple might be, depending on the size, might be 1 cup or 1.5 cups. So making sure we add fruit to our daily schedule. Okay, great. So I had a pear and a plum. I haven't had any plums lately, but that sounds really good. The pears have been really awesome this year. I've really enjoyed those. Okay, so next we have vegetables. And again, we want to eat the rainbow. Look at your plate. You want to have half of your plate be a fruit, half be a vegetable, half be a protein, whatever choice you want that to be, and then half be a whole grain. So the vegetables that we know, you know, all the different colors, even white and green vegetables. We don't think about white onions and garlic, as having health benefits, but we'll talk about what they do to provide goodness for our health. We know that carrots are full of beta carotene, and that's a powerful antioxidant. It helps inhibit tumor growth. Folate is good for healthy blood cells. Idols, lutein help to eliminate estrogen and carcinogens. So everything, all of these fruits and vegetables have a purpose in our bodies, and we need to make sure that we are eating them every day. The allele vegetables like onion and garlic, they destroy cancer cells and support our immune systems. I heard a chef say that every great dish starts with an onion and garlic sauteed, and that's true. And is there anything better than onion and garlic being sauteed? I don't think so. Okay. What vegetables have the idols? I'm not saying that right. So that's a good question. I'm thinking that it's the orange, but I will look that up in just a minute. Okay, all right. I will look that up in just a minute, because lutein we know is from carrots, because lutein is good for our eyes. So let me check. Sorry about that. Let me see real quick.
Look it up.
Can you look it up? All right.
Yep.
Okay. Let me go on then, because it didn't take me to the right spot.
It took me to American Idol. Hold on.
That's what it did for me too. That's what it did for me too. That's crazy.
Okay.
Or Korean Idol. IDL.
Yeah. That looks like peppers.
Okay, let me see. All right. So eat your greens may not be the favorite thing. So I should have known that. The cruciferous family. So cauliflower, broccoli, bok choy, greens, even we're going to have some parsley, or you could put cilantro in our quinoa salad today. And those have, they're considered a leafy green. So we all know about the cruciferous vegetables. Good question. Thanks for asking. Cruciferous cauliflower. Oh my gosh, cauliflower is amazing. Okay, so whole grains. I know grains sometimes get a bad rap. Pasta gets a bad rap. But what I'm talking about is whole grains, intact whole grains, not Wonder Bread that I grew up eating as a child, but whole wheat bread. And it's important when you're looking for whole grains not to just read the label that says whole grain. You have to turn the package over and look on the back, because if you don't see 100% whole wheat, if you don't see any fiber on the package, then they've, processed it and taken out all the fiber. So you want to make sure that you are reading the back of the package. The reason we need whole grains is for fiber. Fiber is such an important tool. You know why oatmeal, they advertise that it's heart healthy? Because oatmeal it has a lot of fiber, it attaches to the cholesterol in our bodies and it takes it out. Okay. Fiber also removes carcinogens from our body. We should be getting up to 40 grams of fiber a day. And that seems like a lot, but it really isn't when you think about it. A cup of beans will be 6 or 7 grams of fiber. Apple may be 3 or 4 grams of fiber. Brussels sprouts, 5 grams. So, and this is per serving. So I think a half a cup of Brussels sprouts is a serving. Leafy greens, it won't be hard to find. There are some breads that are maybe 4 or 5 grams of fiber, even pasta. And there's so many different kinds of pasta. There's not only wheat and whole wheat, but there's beans pasta, there's lentil pasta, black bean pasta, there's garbanzo bean pasta, there's rice, if you're gluten-free, rice, and there's even quinoa pasta. So it's exciting how many different types of pasta there are. And, you know, you can experiment and try them. I really like the garbanzo bean pasta. It's got a more nuttier flavor and it's more chewy. So it's perfect for making a pasta salad, just to replace when you want a pasta salad. Grains are also rich in fiber and other complex carbohydrates, which again, our brain needs carbohydrates in order to function. It also has protein and B vitamins and zinc, all essential minerals and vitamins that we need. Okay, so the next thing is quinoa. And we're going to make our dish with quinoa today. So I want to talk a little bit about quinoa. A friend of mine actually calls it King Wow because it is a superfood. And I know they say that about a lot of foods. Oh, this is a superfood and this is a superfood. But King Wow is truly a superfood. And this, again, is evidence-based. It's gluten-free, which is awesome because if you're gluten-free, then it's a perfect option. You don't have to worry about that. It is high in protein. So as Michelle said, it is a great replacement for when, you know, you don't want to eat an animal protein or, you know, you just want something different. It contains all of the 9 essential amino acids our body does not make. So it's right there in this little seed. Quinoa is actually a seed, not a grain. So that sometimes I think people are surprised because like rice is a grain, we think of it as that, but it is actually a seed. And there's a lot of research showing that it may regulate blood sugar for those that need that. So it is truly a superfood. And the recipe I'm going to make today is only one way that you can use it. I'll be talking about and asking you guys, you know, if you've made quinoa, what have you done with it? Because it's like a blank slate. Okay, it doesn't really have any flavor on its own, although it is good. And sometimes I will just, you know, take a spoonful of it by itself. But you can make it in so many different ways and use it in any way that you would rice or other grains that you use. Okay. All right. The last group we're going to talk about is legumes. I love that word legumes. It's just different and people don't use it all the time. Legumes are beans, peas, and lentils. Yesterday, I made a delicious lentil salad and it was just yummy. Lentils, I think, are a legume that we really don't give enough justice to. You know, they're great in soups, they're great by themselves, they're great in a salad, and they're easy and quick to cook. Legumes are a good source of fiber. Again, we want to get that 40 grams. They're protein rich. They have a lot of iron and calcium, zinc and B vitamins. We don't think of calcium, a calcium source for beans, but beans and greens are a great source of calcium because people would always ask, well, you don't drink milk. Where do you get your calcium from? I get it from the beans and greens that I eat. Beans also include chickpeas, garbanzo beans, refried beans, baked beans, and soybeans are also included in that. So soy milk, tempeh, and tofu. Really important to make sure that you're eating some type of bean. And yes, they do end up promoting something when we eat beans, but you know, Sometimes when I'm cooking beans in my Instapot or my pot, I will put some seaweed called kombu. You buy it, it's dried seaweed that lasts forever. And I'll just put a strip of that in my bean pot water while they're cooking. And that helps reduce some of the gassiness. But your body does get used to it. And I guess, I don't know, I've lived with 3 sons and my husband, and it's just not a big deal in my house anymore. But you know, it can get uncomfortable. So I'd recommend, first off, never cooking your beans al dente. They should always be soft. If they are not fully cooked, they're going to produce more gas. And then starting out with a little bit. If you're going to replace, start with, a quarter cup and let your body adjust, because it will. All right. Okay. Just a little bit more about fiber, and then we're going to get cooking because we're almost 30 minutes in. Up to 40 grams a day. It helps you maintain a healthy weight. They found that people who eat 40 grams of fiber will actually get full. Fiber takes more space in your stomach. So you're like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. I'll save my half a sandwich for later. So they eat 10% less calories and they start to lose weight. Lowers your risk of diabetes, heart disease, some types of cancer. There are 2 different kinds of fiber. There is soluble fiber, and that's like oatmeal that dissolves in water. Peas, beans, apples. Apples are great fiber. Citrus fruits, carrots, barley, and psyllium. And then insoluble fiber is what we get from whole wheat and nuts and beans and vegetables. And that's what helps everything move through. Okay. All right. If there are any questions, let me see. I thought, nope, there is not another one. I'm going to show you 2 last quotes. And then if you have questions, let me know. But these just really spoke to me over the years. And the first one is by Thomas Edison. So we all know this was a long time ago. But he said, the doctor of the future will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather will cure and prevent disease with nutrition. And then the last from Mahatma Gandhi, it is health that is the real wealth and not pieces of gold and silver. My husband and I and my sons have truly found that to be the case. So I wish you, my wish for you all is good health. All right, let me stop my screen share, and I'm going to leave it that way, but you guys can see my whole table and everything. I'm going to turn off my mouse and leave it over there. And we're going to get cooking. So let me go ahead and bring my ingredients. They've been sitting here. I have garlic and ginger in this little bowl, and the whole time I'm talking, I'm getting this garlic and ginger smell, and it's so good. Do you guys love fresh ginger? Oh, it's so good. I always buy the big, a pretty good sized chunk. And sometimes I'll be a real industrialist and I'll peel it and then cut it in little chunks that I kind of estimate to maybe be a teaspoon, and throw them in a baggie and throw them in the freezer so that when I need, a teaspoon or 2, I just pull it out. But, thank you. Ellen said 2 great quotes. I love fresh ginger. I never used fresh ginger before until I became plant-based. Okay, so let's get cooking. Here is my quinoa, and I pre-cooked my quinoa because that would take too long, but I like to cook my quinoa in my Instapot. I've cooked it on the stove. I had a rice cooker, and I like to cook it there. You use 1 part quinoa to 2 parts water. So for this recipe, it called for a half a cup of dry quinoa. So I used a cup of water. And you want it to be cool for this recipe because this is a room temperature salad. I had just a white pasta. Or a white quinoa. There are, you could get rainbow quinoa, red and white, which I like too. I just always, I just love it. But this is cooked. And this is a dump and go. Once you've got the quinoa cooked, you're just going to dump everything in and you're going to be ready. I do. Somebody asked, I always rinse my quinoa, even though the package that I buy, I get a big container of it at Costco. It says that it's pre-rinsed. It's just a habit I have. I'll go ahead and put it in a small strainer and run water. I never really see a lot of dirt or anything, but it's, I wash everything. So I do. And then just pour it in my Instapot. So I have some little tomatoes from my garden that I'm going to dump in there, and I just cut them in half. I have my garbanzo beans, which I'm going to put in, and this is just 1 can. And the garbanzo beans I do rinse too. You really, with garbanzo beans, if you're watching sodium, you could buy no salt added. I typically don't, but I do rinse them. One tip, if you, sometimes I'll save the juice from the garbanzo beans. It's called aquafaba, and I'll use that in soups to make them thicker and in salad dressings. So that's just another tip. I'm going to put some green onions that are diced. And this is it for the salad. This is why I love this, because it's so simple and it's so pretty. Okay, it's really pretty. Now I'm going to make the salad dressing. And I love the salad dressing. I would use the salad dressing for this salad. I also would use it for a green salad. It's real simple to make, and it's got, easy ingredients. The first ingredient is orange juice. You can use fresh squeezed, which I highly recommend. The oranges at this time of the year aren't really that great, right? We have to wait for winter. So this is orange juice. And then the next ingredient is seasoned rice vinegar. This is another great taste that I like. Sometimes when I'm traveling for my other work, I travel a lot, at least before the pandemic. And I will put some of this in a little bottle that's, sealable, and put it in my suitcase. And so if I get a salad at a restaurant, I can just sprinkle this on instead of getting a really, it's salad dressing that's not very good. So I'm going to put a 1/4 cup of this in. And then I'm going to add my fresh ginger and fresh garlic. It's about a teaspoon each, and you'll have the recipe. Next, I'm going to add just a little bit of sweetener. This is a tablespoon of maple syrup. You can use agave nectar if you're familiar with that. And I would adjust. Sometimes, if you don't like it, it's not going to be really sweet, but if you don't like it as sweet, you can start with a 1/2 teaspoon if you want to. Okay, the next ingredient I'm going to add that you may not be familiar with is miso paste. And miso is fermented soybeans. Miso is I never heard of miso before. I became plant-based, but it's a great product. I use it in place of salt because it is not very, it's not, it's not like salt. It's not hard on you and on your body, but I'm going to put 2 teaspoons. It just adds a umami flavor that is really, really good. Great. Thank you, Michelle, for putting up the recipe. I see a couple of people writing. You'll have it there. All right. And then I think that is it. So I'm just going to whisk it because you can see the miso is it's a paste. So it's really thick. So I'm just going to whisk, mostly to get the miso incorporated, because I don't want to have a whole clump in my salad. So let me whisk that. It's coming along nicely. Oh, it smells so good. I could literally drink this. But like I said, I use this on a ton of different things. You've got the sweetness of the juice and then the tartness of the vinegar, and it's just a good combination. So I think it's good. One thing I'd recommend for the miso is to take it out of the fridge so it's at room temperature, because then it gets incorporated a little bit easier. Okay, so here's my beautiful salad, and I am going to pour this on. And then I'm just going to mix it up and add the final touches. Now, this, I've had this in my fridge for 3 to 4 days. It'll stay. It never lasts that long, though. My husband will put this in a wrap because he loves to put everything in tortillas. But it is so good. This is a great potluck recipe. Everybody loves it. The last thing I'm going to add, and the recipe calls for cilantro. Sometimes I like to use cilantro, sometimes I like to use parsley. And this is fresh parsley from my garden. So I'm going to add that instead. Do all of you like cilantro? I know some people love cilantro, some people hate it. I love it, but I just, I'll mix and match. And remember the greens, you know, even we don't think of herbs as having nutrients, but they do. They have just the same nutrients as anything else. And then the last thing I'm going to add is some black sesame seeds. And again, sesame seeds have lots of nutrients. They have manganese and potassium. Calls for 2 teaspoons, and I think that adds a lot to it. All right, so there's our salad. Just simple, easy, you know, cooking the quinoa, making, opening everything else, cutting things up, and you've got a delicious salad. I'm gonna take a bite and see, make sure I get a piece. What did you say?
I could smell it. I wish I could smell it.
I know, I do too. Mm. Mm.
Oh, it's funny. So Ellen was saying that she likes cilantro, but sometimes it tastes like soap. And I think that's a common thing, I guess, to say. Some people think that cilantro tastes like soap. It's like and it's funny because on the 23andMe, the genetic testing, that's one of the things that they say, you know, like you probably think cilantro tastes like soap. Yeah, that's funny.
So
I love.
They caught that because of your genetics. They said you think it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
They say it's genetic. There's I don't have it, but you know, I go through spurts with cilantro. It's like sometimes I can't get enough of it, and then other times I'm not so sure. So this was one of those times where I wasn't sure. But I just, you know, again, I can't say enough about this salad, and it's just really good. So I'd like to, oh, we didn't do too bad on time at all. I'd like to just talk a little bit about quinoa and quinoa, and maybe get some of your ideas of how you've made it. So this is one way that I like to do it. My husband, who is not an oatmeal fan, I love oatmeal. Any of you love oatmeal? He just, you like it? He just doesn't like it. So I'll make a big batch of quinoa, and he'll eat that for breakfast. And he'll put, you know, walnuts or pecans, and he'll put the fruit that he wants, and maybe a sprinkle of maple syrup or date syrup. sometimes we like to use date syrup or date sugar. And he has a warm bowl of quinoa dressed like his oatmeal would be. Another thing that I do is I make quinoa taco meat. And this is really easy. I'll cook quinoa, you know, I'll make a half a cup, I'll make a cup, and then I'm just going to take it out hot and put it in a bowl, and I'll put a teaspoon of chili powder and a teaspoon of onion powder and a teaspoon of cumin and mix it up, and that's it. I don't even, you know, you don't have to bake it or do anything. And it is really good. And it's, you know, you want to have a taco salad. So you have your nice green salad. You maybe add some black beans, add some of that quinoa taco meat. I've actually put it on nachos instead, you know, so that's really good. Just think, you know, cup of quinoa, teaspoon, 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 and you can adjust those those spices. If you know, the chili powder we use is not that hot. It just gives it more of a flavor. But if, you know, start out with half a teaspoon each to your cup of quinoa and adjust and taste. But that is hands down one of my family's favorites. And I'll do that often. Another thing, oh, did somebody want to say something or no?
That's a great idea.
It's really good. Another thing is just replace, if you're making a stir fry and you typically use rice and you want to change it up and make something different, use quinoa as a stir fry. You know, again, even play around with the spices, and maybe you want an Italian type spice. Put oregano and maybe some basil and garlic powder and onion powder instead of the chili and cumin, and make a Italian style quinoa. I mean, it is so versatile. Are there any special recipes you might have that you've done with quinoa, or a different thought about it?
I typically do. I love quinoa. And I usually just have like I'll do like a batch maybe on a Sunday, and I'll have it for the week.
Mhm.
And you know, I'll just throw just some on, like just plain on a salad, just to give the salad some extra protein. And then, but then I also do like an Italian version of it that has a lot of basil, balsamic, fresh mozzarella. And then I do like a Mexican version. It's, you know, I do cilantro, corn, black beans, cumin. In the fall, I love to do like roasted squash with quinoa and with maple syrup and like pumpkin seeds. Yeah, it's just so versatile, and it actually just makes me feel really, really good. Like when I eat it, I feel like really healthy.
Right. Yeah, that's your body going, yay, thank you for giving me those amino acids I need. That's awesome.
Totally.
I love the squash and the pumpkin. I always say summer's my favorite season in terms of the produce we get, but oh my gosh, butternut squash is my apps, and pumpkin. I always can't wait. Although I want time to slow down, but I love the different options. Okay. Anyone else want to share?
I do quinoa a lot.
Okay.
And but I like it mostly, you know, like Michelle was saying, I cook it plain with a little salt, a little ghee perhaps in it, and then I'll use it in any way that I would use rice, or I'm not a pasta person, so you know, in place of pasta. Because you put anything on it, and it will just you know, it will take on the flavors of what you put into it.
Exactly. That's great, Ellen. Thanks for sharing that. I have to ask you though, because have you tried the rice quinoa pasta?
Yes, I
I
can tolerate it. You know, it's not my go-to. Pasta is go-to. Occasionally I'll have some, but it's not like, oh gee, I love pasta and I feel strongly about having some. I just
Right. Oh, no, that's great. That great ideas. It is. It's great to make a batch and it's easy. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I actually just put some on at the beginning of this, and it's almost ready.
Yeah.
And I didn't have all the ingredients that you have, but I've made myself a little salad to go with that. I'll have this hot.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Oh, do I need to tell them about my offer, Michelle? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's great.
do I need to, how do I put it in the,
I can put it in the chat.
okay. All right.
You want
Thank
to talk
you.
about it?
Yeah. So I said I teach classes online, and all of you that participated so far, I have 2 classes set up for September and October. September's class is food and mood. So each class has a different theme and focuses on different information. And the September class focuses on food and mood. A lot of research is coming out now to talk about the impact, again, of the food we eat on our mental health and on our mood. And so that class will focus on that in October because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My class will be on foods that help fight cancer and prevent cancer. I will be putting up other classes. I'll have a holiday plant-based cooking class in November, and then another one in December with recipes that are perfect for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holiday that you celebrate during that holiday season. So all you need to do, you have my information that Michelle put up, but up until December. So if you don't, aren't interested in the first 2 classes in August or September and October, then, keep an eye out, and you'll be able to register at no cost for a class until the end of the year. And I hope to have, like I said, at least 2 or 3 more classes added on. I'd love to have you. And again, I just want to say thank you again to Michelle and Alternative Balance because, as I said, the community you're building is just great. And I truly appreciate the opportunity. And thank all of you. I know everyone has a busy schedule, and I appreciate that you took the time out to watch live. And to all of you who watch the replay, thank you for watching, and just eat more plants. I have a t-shirt that says eat more plants. So just, be mindful and eat more plants.